Hello, everybody, and welcome to Chaotic Neutral Games in our D&D 5th edition campaign, The Benefactor. I'm here with Kate, Nick, Rodrigo, Corinne, and Felicia as we continue the story today. Sorry about the late start. It's 12 minutes late. But we have a long-standing tradition of technical difficulties on Chaotic Neutral, and it just wouldn't be the same without them. So, hello, everybody.
Hey!
Hello.
You even got our names right for the second week in a row.
I did. I had to stop myself from coughing when I said Felicia's name, so there was a bit of a pause there, but at least I didn't end up coughing all over the mic.
Hey, but you did it. You did it.
You're doing it, Peter. You're doing it. Hello, everybody. Previously on the Benefactor, we had our intrepid party go and do something which I must admit I'm not that accustomed to in D&D. They went and did a dungeon, and they did it more or less bloodless. There were some squishy rats that were made of a kind of abyssal blancmange, but after that, they went into the sewers proper, and they got to the end of it without killing a single one of the merfolk, which apparently had abducted Tristane, although I called him Jerome for part of the previous.
Kate.
That, Corinne?
I can hear the echo from Kate.
Sorry. Okay, hold on. Well, carry on. I'll mute some stuff.
Right. So as I say, they got to the bottom, and previously I called him Jerome. The son of Duke Edmund Ostermark, is Tristane Ostermark, and they found him, and he pointed out that the Kitoa, this piranha-faced fish folk that they encountered, thankfully, and I wrote this before I knew that Farewell was going to exist as a water genasi. Thankfully, one of the parties spoke Aquan, and as a result, they were able to talk their way through what would have been a set of combats and puzzles, getting themselves to the end. I would like to say barely, with the rolls that he had, barely managed to convince them that it was a good idea to let them go through.
He speaks fishy, just not very well.
Yes. So they got there, and Tristane explained that somebody was trying to assassinate him, and that Quato, the Katoa that was spotted running him down to the sewers, was actually running him down into the sewers for his own safety, being that they didn't know who was attacking him, how many was attacking him, so they went with what they knew and took him down to their domain beneath the sea. Tristane pointed out that when he was younger, although he's still quite fond of it now, he went on to the harbour, and he used to go piloting a skiff around the bay. He got caught in a storm, tossed out of the boat, and through a moment of mercy that you don't normally get out of the Katoa, they rescued him, and they've been tentative friends ever since, and allies ever since. The main thing that you found down in the sewers, and it's something that Tristane himself is trying to research, is a strange arcane going on. And that is that the rats that you met, a body of a Katoa that you have that you've spotted as well, and also some pink-purple fish, all ended up being infected by this substance. And this substance, effectively a form of dormant ooze, dissolves the body, replaces the body with a type of facsimile, and then kind of acts like that creature would, albeit with significant and noticeable differences. You notice that it's able to absorb damage in a slightly random way. But if you destabilize the ooze enough, it starts to tremble and lose its structural integrity and just splatters all over the place. So we're going to catch up now with Tristane, leaving the small smuggler's room, which I think is probably worth repeating as well. You, on the previous map, were in a small smuggler's building carved into rock on the inside of a sea cave that is in the cliffs around Ostergold. Okay, so open access to the sea, and clearly this is how people used to get contraband into the city way back when. The tunnels seem to be abandoned because the Kotoa had to reopen sections of it, and you're now moving back into the city, going through those same tunnels, but with Tristane in tow. Okay. The tunnels themselves are lit only by a small dull light. Now that you've walked past the bioluminescent fungus that's well, as I said, algae, sorry, that's inside the part of the tunnel system. You've already got past that part, and now it's lit by a dull light produced by Tristane with a flick of the fingers, this very dull orb kind of hovering, bobbing in the air in front of you. He explains that he's going to take you back to a particular part of the city, and that's the part where I should really bring up the city itself. Let's have a go. Okay, when we restarted it, unfortunately, it logged me out of Roll20, so bear with me here. But he says, so tell me a little about yourselves. I must admit, other than the fact that you work for Renata, I know very little about you.
Can we just have 2 minutes before we do that with the group? Sorry.
Absolutely.
Just to thank you, and I'll just sort of hustle everybody over to me, just so we're trying to be out of
Group huddle. Group huddle.
Team meeting. Does
Yes.
anybody want to approach the whole giant tentacle that gifts crazy rusty chalices thing, and the whole Kraken stuff? I'm not the only one that finds that terrifying.
I mean, I
think
think
that-
What's so terrifying about it?
I think anyone except Glory, because she's the exception, not the rule, will find giant sea creatures from the depths terrifying. So
No, I mean they're quite nice people. I mean, it's just a giant tentacle that appeared, ominous Blackwell that he talked to and looked like he worshipped. Not just me.
No, it's not
No,
just
not
you.
just
But
you.
I'm not sure that I particularly want to challenge him on it. We've already been reprimanded for the fact that he is the son of the Duke. I don't think we have anything to say. I mean, what do you say? What do you want to say?
I disapprove of your tentacle worshipping lifestyle.
It doesn't really seem respectful.
I mean, I didn't.
you can ask him what it is.
I didn't say we
Oh,
should say that. It's all. What I'm saying is probably the only thing we can say, even though it won't be good.
Well, I mean, we can ask him what it is. Does anyone know what it is?
Can we roll like
Can we roll?
As the party stands there and ponders the infinite.
yeah? Can at least our priest roll religion on that?
Yeah, actually that makes sense. I would like to rack my brains about is there any
Here.
Okay, what would you like me to make? What check?
I would like you to roll, funnily enough, religion.
13.
Crazy notion.
Religion.
Okay.
And that is a 19 for me.
Okay.
Holy shit.
Okay.
You would hope that I would know a little bit about religion.
Yeah. Hey man, like clerics with -1 in religion are out there.
Well,
Fair.
it's maybe because religion is a knowledge about religion, not like how close you are with your god kind of thing.
I
Yeah.
feel like they should have changed the name of that skill to something like occult or lore, because
Yeah.
religion is like kind of like misleading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair.
Okay. So the 19 is what gets some content. So the there we go. I've got a city map up. There we go. So the for 19, you get that the major gods have temples to their name. Cord, Melora, all the Dawn War gods, Bahamut, Pelor, Arathis, Nayun. In Illyria, Arathis and Nayun typically have twin temples. They're normally connected, the goddess of knowledge and the goddess of civilization. And then there are secret temples to the dark gods as well. Even though this is the case, there are lesser gods. Okay, so these are sometimes called avatars or Celestines. Now, of the deep, there are two major god factions that deal with the sea. Okay, the first is Melora, the All-Mother, and she has got some mighty leviathans within the water who are either divine immortal beings, so kind of like a demigod, or some of them actually have a divinity of their own. It's a very low amount of divinity if they are in this plane, the material plane, because gods can't fully enter, which means that they will normally be what's known as an avatar. Then there are things called Celestines. Celestines are incredibly high level, divine beings, roughly akin to angels and creatures of the astral sea. They tend to be representative of their realms, so they will take a form that attunes them to their realm. And they will only be able to be summoned, or effects like the one that you've seen could be summoned purely only through ritual. Okay. Now, here's the kicker. The other god is Zahir, okay, the Great Serpent. You will have seen some of this in Critical Role recently. They mention it. Zahir is a serpent that basically just takes. It is a bestial god. It is a primal god. There are some who argue that it is neither good nor evil, that it just is. There's some divine debate on this. And the divine or diabolical, whichever you'd like to call it, beings that follow Zahir mostly are very bestial themselves. They tend to not think a great deal. However, they have enough divinity within them to be able to provide for their followers, normally kind of lending off the knowledge or channeling the knowledge of their supporters as they make their demands, and then just giving power if they feel loyalty. So what you've got there is a potential that either this is a natural creature, not necessarily a very nice creature, but it could be a natural creature that is an avatar or Celestine of Melora, who gave over the artifact, or some grasping, hungry, dominating creature of the deep in service to Zahir, who also provided. Okay.
So either way, for normal people, it is a concerning thing regardless.
Yeah, he's either a
Says the worshipper of dragons.
Yes.
just call her out.
Fire.
It's not weird at all for glory. I'm gonna say by normal people standards, so not us.
Right.
Snake
So
god.
do we talk about it, or do we let it go?
I don't know.
We
Maybe
might be
we
able to
bring it
talk-
up casually at another time once
Yeah,
we
we
know
can
him a
probably
little
talk
more.
about it later. Yes.
We maybe need
Right
to
now,
gain a
we
bit
got
more
more pressing
trust
matters.
first.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think we've gained the trust yet.
Okay. I would like not to stand next to him, please.
That's not a problem.
I shift in front of Farewell.
Thank you.
My little form. Oh,
The bodyguard.
Oh
Much
yeah.
better, thank you.
Cora's
Okay.
8 ounces of will pass.
Yeah.
Oh, she's the bravest halfling.
Right. So you finish your conversation. Tristane is leaning against a wall, and you notice that he's pulled a small root out of his pocket, broken part of it off, and is chewing it thoughtfully, whilst cleaning dirt out of his nails. Are we all ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
He smiles at you all, a big impish smile, and says, "Fantastic, let's go." He takes you through the various sewer tunnels, and you come out. For those of you who can see the screen, hang on, I think I know what you're about to say. I'm going to move everybody over to it now.
We can go back in and rescue the snake lady if you really want, Felicia. I think we established last session that she survived. We can go back and look for her if you want.
Yeah. Okay, so the players should be able to see it as well. So number 1 on your map, the City Hall. He manages to get you through the tunnels of the Merchants' Quarter, and you pop out near number 1 on that map there, the town hall.
Well, while we're walking, I just want to talk to him because he wanted to talk to us. That's why I was trying.
Absolutely. So, he says, so tell me about yourselves.
Well, I've been working in the city for a few years now, and I'm quite enjoying it. Just got in contact with Renata Green last week, was it? Yeah. Just got employed by Renata last week, and it's been quite exciting, I must say.
Oh, heavens. And there I was thinking that I had her best. Well, maybe I have got her best, but you're only very recently met. Either way, I'm very grateful for your help.
Well, as you say, you weren't actually in any trouble, so...
Well, leaving the tunnel network is something that I have a little anxiety over. There's still somebody in the city which wishes to kill me.
Do you know who that is, by the way?
I could probably bring it down to about, I guess, about 16 or 17 different factions. Yeah.
Oh, just that.
Yeah, I mean,
that's not too bad, really.
I guess I'd have to first discern whether or not they are trying to kill me for things that I've done, or to kill me to get to my father. He's spent a lot more time creating enemies than I have.
Fair enough.
Would it be anyone related to this coin?
Oh dear.
Oh. Now that is fascinating. May I?
Sure.
The second the coin touches his hand, a flash of light appears in each of his eyes. And he goes, "Oh, I see. It's the real deal as well. Wow, you were lucky. I wonder what he has in store for you." And he's just there.
Do you know?
He's passing it over his fingers.
Do you know anything more about these guys?
I know that the blades are, well, the classier end of assassination. And the question is, and I mean no offense, milady, but why would they pay so much to kill you?
That was my question. Like, I don't really know. I'm not really that interesting, to be honest.
No,
Like,
don't belittle yourself, but I'm sure that what you're trying to say is that you, well, frankly, haven't made as many enemies as my father yet. Well,
No,
cherish this coin.
I'm-
Cherish this coin. My father has been killing assassins that have been coming after him for years, and he's only ever managed to get 3 of those coins. So, he'll be somewhat jealous that you managed to get one at such a ripe young age.
Oh, thank you.
The next person might not be so accommodating.
No, but I haven't really I haven't really made anyone angry that I know. So
Well, I guess that's your own personal mystery. How exciting.
yeah, I guess.
And remember, just because you didn't deliberately go out of your way to harm someone or to rile them up, doesn't mean you didn't succeed. I find that normally it's not the person that I directly deal with that ends up being angered with me. It's normally somebody 2 or 3 degrees from them.
Oh yeah.
That's the problem with ripples. They get bigger on the outside. So, how about the rest of you?
Setting this.
Oh, sorry, what was that?
No, I was just. It seems kind of overkill, to be honest, to send someone that is apparently as good as these guys for me.
Indeed. I would say that that's an essential part of your mystery that you would need to focus on. It at least means that you can write off any minor acts, or what you would consider to be minor acts, and concentrate only on the more profound things that you've done recently. These guys, they tend to respond very quickly to things. So someone would have been annoyed, they would have done the deal, and they would have probably given 24 hours to end your life.
Yeah.
There's a very, very concerned-looking farewell in the background here.
I'm like internally I'm face palming because I'm like, please stop telling people that there was an attempt on your life.
It's she regularly attempts things on other people's life. It's not that profound. It's more profound that it was such a high class attempt on her life.
For her, not for the rest of us. The rest of us find this quite dramatic.
Yeah.
It's just an assassination attempt. You're supposed to get them at least once a week.
No.
Oh
As
my
long
god,
as you're
Lori.
doing things properly.
Glory, stop talking.
You've got oh boy. My poor boy.
But yes, other people talk. But if I ever might, just a very quick question: if you have any knowledge about, it's a long shot, but if you know anything about Joradan at all, I would be happy to chat with you in a later date.
Only what my schoolmaster told me, I'm afraid. Well, one of them.
Okay.
I guess, does it still count as homeschooled when it's a palace? I don't know. It's sorry. That sounded very upper class of me. I do apologize. It's just, you know who I am, so I don't have to use any of my alter egos. And to tell you the truth, it's a little relieving sometimes just speaking to, and you can see he takes a second to pick his language and goes, good, honest folk, but doing so with my face, my voice, and my name. So, anyway. So, how about the rest of you?
Well, I
Oh,
hail from Skalra, the region of Atal Salar.
Oh,
It's quite
nice.
fascinating traveling the other continents. Society is so different, yet the same in a lot of ways.
And there I was thinking that all the adventurers here went to Skara because they hear that there are dragons. They get very upset, I hear, when they get to the cities and find out that the dragons are just dry politicians who are enacting various infrastructure plans. Everybody expects their fighter dragon, not argue over taxation.
Yeah, we've had to kick a fair few ones out.
Mhm.
Really, they don't have any class.
I shall make sure that if I see any expedition leaving the dock for Skara, that they only send the classiest of adventurers. So, you, sir, a Janase. I've never really had the chance to be close to your kind. I hope I'm not gawping.
No.
I love farewell.
Oh,
Same.
poor green boy.
And he's just gonna look at Cora like, please save me from this conversation.
He fills the
He's
void.
kind of shy.
He fills the void briefly by saying, I thought when I first saw you that you'd come from the nearby gate into the plane of elemental water. It's probably only a week's full sail from here. But no, too cultured, too of this world. You were born here, sir. I can tell it. And so you might be shy, but how about you, Mom? And he looks at Cora. This is the first time, by the way, that anyone's called you Mom without trying to arrest you.
Ma'am, put the knife down. Ma'am.
Rodrigo, you nailed it. You nailed it.
There's not much to tell. Just I don't know. I know this one. Before Renata hung out in Freetown. It's
Oh.
kind of yeah. Yeah, I don't usually mix with the likes of yourself, sir.
He has the what's the word? He has the self-presence to look a little bit abashed, and he says, "Yes, I don't think we put enough time into the Freetown question. My father always says, well, it works. People come into the city for work, they leave, they spend their time in Freetown. He says that they have their own infrastructure there, they have their own housing. He seems to have a kind of... It's always hard to tell when my father respects someone, but he has a kind of gratitude, I guess, appreciation for Robar. He likes people who rise to the top. Robar seems to have done that. But he also likes people who've risen to the top because they're standing on a pile of dead bodies. And by the sounds of it, Robar, although not afraid of violence, uses it as his very last resort.
Yeah, there's enough violence in this city. We don't need to add more most of the time.
So true. So very true. And, well, it may not carry favour with my father, but I can say this. If you confirm that about this man Robar, I must admit I've never met him, then it endears him to me.
Yeah,
And you,
he's
sir?
a good guy.
A fencer.
Uh-oh.
A duelist.
Uh-oh.
Very much a man
If
after
this
my
one
own
was
heart.
shy-
And he looks at Aiden with a kind of camaraderie.
I'm fucking. I looked exhausted, by the way.
Yeah. Not to mention this horrible puffed up rat bite that you have on you.
Yeah, both me and Farrell are super sick.
Yeah.
Well, no, you and Aiden, I'm not sick at all. I made my
yes,
Constitution
yes,
saving throw.
Yes, me and Aiden, I mean, not Farrell.
Yeah.
We will be fussing
Are
around
you really? Are you like bleeding and we're just walking along chatting and you're like, ugh.
Well, I have like both me and Aiden have these wounds. They're like probably looking really bad.
Yeah, really nasty, aggravated wounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
Farewell
have like
is
tons of
fussing you.
fur pulled out, like some like red cat skin, like.
Yep. So
Basically, Eclipse is walking around scratching herself because
Yeah.
she's cat.
Yeah,
Cone.
just,
Yeah.
just have
Put
one
the cone
leg,
on.
my back, my leg goes up and goes.
No! I told you, stop that. Stop it.
who's got the
Stop
spray
it.
bottle? Okay.
Sorry, Rodrigo.
It's fine.
Are we in the
I.
tunnels still? Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm just
you're
confused
still
about where we are.
you're walking through the sewers still. It's you're going to end up
Okay.
coming out by the city hall, but Corinne did ask to have a conversation in the sewers before she got out, so that's where we are.
That's cool. That's cool. Cool.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't say that. I'm replying to what what he said, by the way.
He says, "Oh, fair enough. I saw your blade and made an assumption. Either way, I'm very happy that you have come along in this group of people." And he's looked at, and at this point, Aiden, I think it's probably best for you to do an insight check.
All of us, or just Tim?
Just Aiden.
Do I pick any of this up with my amazing superpowers?
What is your passive insight?
It's
Sarah?
20.
Fuck. Oh, farewell.
I forgot about that. Okay.
He's a monster.
I'm gonna give Aiden first shout at this because it's his thing. So what was your check, Rodrigo?
I got, as they say, 9.
Ah, I see. Yeah,
I'm
you think he's got some sort of weird squint? Farewell, you've picked up that Tristane is scrutinizing Aiden. And the irony is, you're going, that's weird. He's really staring at Aiden. If it was Cora who passed this check, she would have said, he's staring at Aiden the same way that the Farewell does.
I will not rise to said bait. However,
Double
you will notice that Farewell will just sort of try and shift slightly into his eye view and just be like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?"
Anyway, shall we keep
Yeah.
going? It's not very pleasant down here.
Yeah, and I need to get these two to another priest. I didn't pack the necessary spells today, and the last thing I need them is to drop dead because of strange diseases you people keep in this terrible sewer. Come on. And he will be fussing these two towards any act.
When it comes to planning spells, I know I feel the same pain. Thankfully, all it takes for you is a few rituals, whereas it takes quite a bit of study for me to be able to keep them all in mind. I do envy you, divine types. He gets to a ladder in the wall and goes, here we are. So he pops the sewer grate, and you notice that Farewell probably would have done a better job. Tristane a little weaker than Farewell. but he manages to get it up. And I would like just indulge me. I don't need to know a full party order, but who goes up next after Tristane?
Glory
me.
wants to get out of there, so yes.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, and I think we all pretty much know better than to get in Glory's way. So there's definitely going to be a
Yeah.
willingness to let her just go.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happens is this: you get most of the way up the ladder. Your head and shoulders are out of the top, Glory. I would like you to just indulge me. Make a perception check.
Oh dear.
If your arcane is higher, I will allow arcane in this circumstance.
Well, I get more plus in arcane, so that's a 23.
Fucking hell. Well,
Okay.
good roll.
So you recognize the cantrip that Tristane casts. He gets up from the ground, so he kind of hoofs himself over the top of the manhole, and then lifts himself up onto his feet, standing at street level. And you watch as he goes just to cough, and as he does so, he flicks a finger out. And you realize he's just used the message cantrip, and in response to that, a group of 6 guards that are always outside the city hall are running towards him full sprint.
Good cost.
He then turns around to you and says, "Can I help you up, Glory?" And he offers his hand to you.
Yes, please.
Okay. He lifts you up. The guards are running towards you. Who's next?
I'll go up next.
Okay,
I'm fine.
Okay.
There will be a push from Farewell to try and get the other 2 injured people out as quickly as possible.
Okay.
Yeah, Cora needs to go first then to help them out.
Yeah, so Cora, you also get offered a hand by Tristane, and as you get pulled up, these guards are around about 60 foot away and sprinting. They seem to be hampered by full plate. There's 6 of them running in your direction.
So
Full
when
plate
I
and run.
when I get up, do I obviously see this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You hear
well,
it, if anything.
Yeah. So I don't know that he's like I don't know anything about him messaging this. So I'm gonna see this as soon as I'm up, and I'll be like, "Sir, there's people running at you. Are you okay? Are these the people that attacked you?"
He
And I'm gonna kind of get in front of him and like be kind of between them.
Yep, you're a tiny wall of fury.
Yeah, but I don't
love
know.
it. He
Like,
just gets behind the halfway going like, yes, fight me.
he's already told us that he's been attacked and that he thinks he's in danger, and that's why we were in the sewers. As soon as we're out of the sewers, people are running at him, and I am gonna think these are the people that maybe attacked him, and so I'm going in front of him and be like ready to like shoot something at them, basically.
Holy shit. Ma'am, put the knife down. Ma'am, ma'am, please put the knife down.
And I'll I mean, if there's time as well, I'll call the others. Say, get up here! People are running. Like we might need to fight.
Okay. So who was next on the ladder?
It will be a forceful push for either Eclipse or Aiden to go up next.
Eclipse will happily go up next, so.
Okay. So you push that. Well, you help push Eclipse up to the top. Eclipse, as you get out of the hole again, Tristane pulls you up, and again he's looking like the suavest guy opening a door. You know, the only thing he isn't doing is laying his coat down over a puddle. And as he pulls you up, and you end up standing up, you can see over his shoulder that 6 guards are 30 foot away, running at you, and they've just all drawn their swords. Obviously, everybody who's on the surface has also seen this. Okay?
Justine, the gods seem to have drawn their sword. I don't know, are they trying to attack us?
He goes, oh, well, I thought they were just coming to... And he snaps around as the guards charge. And they get about 15 foot away. And he says, stop, sheathe your swords. And they stop immediately, dead in their run, and put their swords back into the sheaths and all stand to attention. And he says, these are friends of mine.
Hello.
And these guards are just staring straight ahead. Now, Cora, you've spent time with the guards. Eclipse, you've spent time with the guards. For 2
I was going to
completely
say,
different
do I
reasons.
know anyone? And be like, hi, Justin.
Hey, John, isn't it nice that you're not arresting me for once?
I rarely get arrested. I don't think I actually get arrested. Sometimes I do contracts for the guards because they'll have like arrest this person kind of thing.
I don't get arrested.
I'm going to say that both Cora and Eclipse recognize faces but no names. You know that as you see the guards around the city, they're normally pretty casual. They try to do the whole, I guess, what is the medieval equivalent of community policing. And that is mostly kind of getting to know people so that they won't stab you in a back alley. They normally are quite relaxed, but in the presence of Tristane, they are at a painful attention as Aiden climbs out of the manhole. And they are perfectly in formation, staring straight ahead, bolt-right attention. And he turns around in time to help Farewell get out of the manhole. And without even looking at the guards, he just says, replace the manhole cover. And one of them breaks from the group of 6 and replaces the manhole cover. He then
They got hit quick.
This is the city's finest, Farewell. Did you not know? The very finest.
I'll be honest with you, my only interaction is usually having to bury one of them.
Could I make an insight check? I mean, is this guy... Are we believing? Like, I want to know if he's acting weird.
Oh, good, I was the only one whose radar was going, not sure about this person.
Yeah.
I think, like, in-game as well. Like, I think I want to check this person out. Like, we've just seen him, like, deal with tentacles, pretend to be kidnapped, not kidnapped. I don't think we trust him that much. I would like to roll.
And I guess equally, is he the rich eccentric, or Lex Luthor levels
Just
of
rich.
evil mastermind?
Oh yeah, that too.
Indeed. Can I roll for it?
You can absolutely roll for it. Go for it. I was just waiting for everybody to get their stuff out. Yeah.
God damn it! I rolled a 3. That's not gonna do much.
Aww.
Will this guy steal the pies like Lex Luthor did?
So my insight is 3, so yeah, 6. Fuck.
18.
I'm gonna go with Matt's usual line and say hard to read. Okay.
17 for me.
17. Okay. And Corinne got an 18. Is anybody else rolling?
No.
I'm gonna say no.
Glory's just like, I've got a new friend. I've got a new friend.
Also, the fact that this is not the weirdest she's seen, like, Drunk Tuesdays are worse.
Okay, so
Like-
I'm going to say both Farewell and Eclipse. The level of response that they're getting from Tristane when he mentions these things, the speed at which they respond, you've normally There's something unnatural about it. There is something unnatural about it. Eclipse
He's
roll.
using command.
Eclipse roll Arcana, and Farewell roll Religion. I'm going to draw on your backgrounds to see if you stumbled across something in your background.
Can I roll religion as well?
No, only
That's
people
another
who did the
18.
insight check.
Okay.
That's another 18, Simon, for Arcana.
Okay.
And that's only 11 for me.
Okay. Eclipse, you're assuming that some sort of charm that you guys just haven't seemed to have been subjected to. Maybe this is how he deals with the guards. Maybe he thought the guards would arrest anybody who was with him, and he charmed them to make sure they aren't arresting you.
Fair enough.
Okay. So, and Farewell.
Eclipse is not worried about it.
You didn't
Yeah.
meet the minimum requirement for information. So,
Yeah.
he then turns around to the 6 guards and says, "You'll form a hearth guard around us as we return to Green Manor." And the 6 guards immediately break off and with almost geometric precision flank you at 6 points. And as you move, they move. Well, sorry, as Tristane moves, they move concentric around him. Okay.
Oh, I don't like this.
So, by the way, for anybody who thinks, oh, Simon hasn't been rolling any dice, I've pre-rolled a lot of this.
Oh dear.
Oh boy.
dear.
So, you're walking through the city, and as you do so, you do spot some of the work groups that are out as part of this city emergency is going off. The first set of green operatives that you come across seem to be laborers. They've got pickaxes, they've got axes. Some of them have got like a kind of cudgel shillelagh type of thing. When they see that Tristane, who's fairly famous throughout the city, and they see the guards around him, mostly they were paying attention to him because he's got guards around him. One of the guys breaks off, runs up towards you, and as he does so, one of the guards pulls a sword on him, and Tristane goes, "Sheath!" He sheathes the sword again, and the guy obviously stops at the guard pulling the sword, and Tristane goes, "Can you vouch for this man?"
Who's the man?
You don't
We
know.
know.
He's got a green badge at his hip. That's all you know.
Well, he's run up.
I don't think we personally know him, but he's from the organization, but I don't know him.
There are a lot of people in the Green organization, and we've been with it less than a week.
Indeed.
Yeah.
That's why I asked whether or not you'd met him before. I don't expect you to know all what's on the books at the moment. 400 and something. I forget. You, sir, stay your ground. Why do you rush towards us? Begging your pardon, sir. I was just asking what's going on. We've all been looking for you, sir, and trying to keep the city safe. To be commended, I suppose. But why rush towards us? I was going to report to Ms. Green, sir. I should imagine she's busy searching for you at the moment. At which point, Tristane.
She'll know she's there.
At which point, Tristane. He looks like he's. I guess the look on his face, and I'm not going to give anybody insight rolls for this, because he just suddenly loses this poker face facade, this ambassador facade. There's a look on his face of, oh shit, I forgot. He just kind of waves his hand, and suddenly you hear from your badges, "You found him. Fantastic. I was trying to search for him, trying to search for you. I couldn't find you. What's going on?" It's Renata.
Wait. Who wants to report?
Go on.
Go for it.
You go for it.
Yeah.
There's a crack of ozone. I'm gonna interrupt.
I'm gonna respond. It was just
I know.
the like.
I know. I'm interrupting.
Players.
I'm interrupting because it's happening real time. Yeah. Even though she's just asked you the question, there's a sudden crack of ozone, and Renata Green has stood in front of you. At this point, you guys are just moving past the front of building number 4 on the map. That's the Guild Hall, and you're going up north into the Royal Quarter to get to Green Manor. She just apparates in front of you, as I say, with this sudden whiff of ozone, and she goes up to the guards. The guards go to draw their swords, and before Tristane can tell them to sheathe, she just flicks her fingers, and the guards just put the swords back in the sheaths. One of them suddenly kind of blinks and shakes his head a little bit before just suddenly snapping to attention and looking straight forward again. She walks straight up and embraces Tristane with a huge hug and says, you're fine, and starts kind of patting him all over, and he goes, "Renata, this is not appropriate." And she goes, Of course. But my people found you. That's all that matters. My people found you. Well done." And she looks at you guys with a look of sincerity, a look of relief and sincerity as she says, "Well done. Seriously, well done. I don't know what was going on down there, but I don't like not being able to see people."
Well, I think you'll get more of an explanation, an in-depth explanation from Justine himself rather than our report of the matter. But yes, we did find him, and he is completely whole, and as far as I know, not damaged. Me and Aiden got bitten by some really nasty rats, but other than that, it's been pretty okay.
At the really nasty rats, probably because she's thinking on such a wide scale and you're mentioning rats, a smile does creep across Renata's face. And she says, "Rats, of course, terrible things." Snaps her fingers, and and suddenly you're no longer in the street. You are in the foyer of the Green Manor. Obviously, everyone.
Okay, that's disorientating.
Yeah, there's this lurch in your stomach. Yeah, there's this lurch in your stomach as you just get teleported, pretty much without any consent on your part, or preparation on your part. And there's a moment of dizziness. And
can anybody else smell toast?
Do we even have toast? Like, is there fantasy toast?
Of course,
Yeah.
it's burnt bread. Of course, it's fantasy toast.
How do they don't have toast? They don't have electricity. How do we have toast?
I'm trying.
You fucking fry it in a frying pan over a fire.
Over a fire, just
The
on a
answer-
stick. You can make toast.
Correct.
It's warmed up bread.
What
Correct.
world do you ever want to live in where you can't have toast?
Corinne, the
Toast
answer.
and bacon are a necessary part of RPGs.
Okay.
Yeah.
The answer to your question is don't ask any questions.
Even in fantasy, you can make a grilled cheese, and that is all that matters.
Yeah. So,
Okay,
Corinne,
hell yeah.
I feel I owe it to context and, well, history in general to inform you that toast predates toasters.
Okay.
And bread, of course, predates most things. It's been made for a very long time.
I know.
And,
You're a dick and just keep going.
and
I will punch you later.
if you overbake bread, you get toast.
Yes.
I will punch you later. Now let's keep going.
Babe,
You're a whole
You
flight
you
away.
can't
I feel
fault us.
safe.
You asked the most stupid question we've heard this year.
Oh, bless her, Lola. Right, enough magic nursing.
Anyway,
Let's move on.
I think we trolled her enough. So
Yeah, let's like,
the slight smell of toast aside, hashtag B-stroke aware. The people who are in the Green Manor, and it is flooded with people who are currently coordinating this huge citywide effort. Bear in mind that you guys, with your exploration of the sewers, because even though we got through it quite quickly in the session, you did do a bit of exploring in the sewers to get around and things. It's just nobody wants to hear about 2 hours tromping through a sewer.
Question: what time is it right now?
The time right now, it's late evening. It's late evening.
Gotcha.
In the morning you had the fight. Then the girls went off and went around town, did all of their stuff, stole a cat. Explosion went off. It was mid-afternoon when you guys were summoned. Then you got ready, went into the sewers. The first part where you met the first amount of Katoa was a little bit after the rubble. But then when the Katoa took you through the various tunnels and things like that, navigating through there, which would have been hellishly difficult without the Katoa to guide you. You spent hours doing that. It was like an hour and a half, and then the rest of the stuff. It was you were in the sewers for about 2 hours, 2.25 hours. So it's getting to late afternoon, early evening now. Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's game time, so it's whatever is dramatic, but you're starting to feel like you've had a full day. Put it that way. So you apparate into the foyer. Obviously, everyone reacts as you all appear in this crack of ozone, and there's a moment of comprehension as they all take in the sight around them. You recognize some people here, just various little green organization things that you've done so far, even in the few days that you've done it. You've seen people just kind of wandering around the manor and things. You particularly notice Eclipse, the priestess that told you not to steal the cloak. She's here.
Oh yeah.
And also the small gnome that took you to the guardian of the mana potions. And they take a moment, completely taken aback. They take in all of you as a party. Renata Green is a given. They see her every day. And then they take in who is in the middle of you all. And suddenly it dawns on them, and a round of applause starts going off. People are whistling. People are cheering.
Simon.
Yep.
Well, this is happening. I want to find the first horizontalist I can find and pass out on it.
With all the people
Very
around,
on brand.
the best you can do, Rodrigo, is the spiral staircase that goes upstairs. And it's not so much spiral. It's kind of big flight, right angle, small flight, right angle, big flight, and then you're upstairs. But they're nice, big, hardy steps. You have a feeling if you could sit on the lower step of that stairs and start to pass out quite happily.
No, I did not mean sit down and fall asleep. I mean like straight up lay down on the first horizontal.
That would be like the floor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Did I stutter?
You get on the floor. It's the floor. It's just the floor. The nearest horizontal surface is the floor beneath you, and yeah, you flop down to the floor as people are cheering. You notice that Renata crosses her arms, and is giving out a very beaming smile. And it's at this point that you do notice that she has a certain amount of gravitas when she's giving you a mission, or she's talking to you or debating something for you. When she's sat at her desk, she seems very studious. At this point, the smile, it seems a very genuine, very warm smile that she gives everyone around her. Suddenly it's like the years drop off her, and she's this freckled, pale-skinned, bright green-eyed, fiery red-haired younger woman, and she suddenly seems full of light and life and adventure. And Tristane walks up, puts his hand on her shoulder, and waves to the cheering crowd. And
I'm already shuffling towards Simon to grab that priestess, as I need to sort out the rest of the party. So there'll be whispers going across, usually Lesser Restoration, Eclipse.
As you step forward, you're almost hit by Tristane's hand as he does a dramatic gesture with his right arm and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, my saviors!" And they
Excuse me.
This is landed on the floor. I start I go down where Item is, kind of trying to shake him awake and be like, no, it's not time to
It
sleep
does
right
not
now.
work.
Excuse me.
It's like,
the cheering and the whistling, everybody is looking at you now, kind of taking it all in. So farewell. You do manage to get up to the priestess. She two things hit you straight away, because Farewell's a studious type, and I like to reflect that in the narrative of what he sees. Two things about her. First of all, everyone is clapping and cheering. She's clapping politely, but there's no mirth on her face. Second of all, and this is very odd, clerics tend to have some iconography of their god or goddess on them at all times. Some like to emblazon it, on a tabard on their chest. Usually the people who are the most ostentatious are the followers of Bahamut. They would normally have the platinum dragon on their shield, their tabard, their pauldrons. Everywhere they can slap that down, they will absolutely do so, just in case someone mistakes them for worshipping a lesser god. This cleric, you cannot see any iconography based on the god that they worship. And she says, "Yes, Brother Farewell."
Do you happen to have prepared Lesser Restoration today?
The lesser ritual, yes, I do.
Oh, good. Come with me, and I'll just grab her by the wrist and start marching over.
She does look affronted at the fact that you grab her wrist. She goes to pull her wrist away, and there's a slight, I'll call it a grimace. Without rolling, it's just a grimace. And she kind of darts her eyes over to Renata, and then immediately relents and follows you.
I'm very sorry, it's a bit urgent. I'm not sure if they're going to die now or in a couple of hours, and I really don't have the time to explain everything. And I point at Eclipse, and then I point at Iden. Those two, please.
I'm scratching at my bite, and they keep.
Will you stop doing that? Stop it! Stop it! Stop!
With you have a feeling she's suppressing doing a sigh. The priestess puts her hand out and she says, "In the name of the gods, be healed." And she hovers her hand, doesn't touch the wound, but hovers her hand over the wound, and immediately the wound almost deflates as the aggravation goes from the wound. The wound is still there, but it seems to be slightly congealed, and she goes, "I've purged it of the poison, the toxin."
Thank you.
I have a feeling it was probably disease related, but I confess I've never seen a disease like it. Who was the second person?
What the fuck?
She looks down and goes, I see. She goes down, checks Aiden's pulse first to see whether or not it's worth a spell slot. And when she finds a pulse, she puts her hand over his head and says,
Careful, he's very cold. You get used to him. It's fine. He does this surprisingly a lot.
She waits for you to finish and then goes, in the name of the gods, be healed. And you see as the horrible aggravated wound on Aiden goes down as well. And she says, she starts looking at the wound and she goes, well, he's unconscious, so if it does hurt, he's not going to notice. And she starts to press her thumbs either side of the wound where the bite marks are. And she says, I'd like these guys to check in. The tabaxi and she hesitates, human.
Oh no, he's definitely human. I actually have quite a really good little report on the fact that he's definitely not a revenant. Might be a flesh golem, I'm not sure, but he's pretty much 90% or so human.
She looks at you with a kind of, are you serious? Do I need to do something about this kind of look? And then
One day.
No, don't worry. It's fine. It's good. I mean, these guys will back me up. He's actually really quite nice.
Once
you
day,
get past the fact that he tells you to fuck off, he's lovely.
one day Farewell is gonna get stabbed.
One day Farewell's gonna get a restraining order.
You have to enforce it first.
So she looks at you and goes, I would like these two to report for 10 minutes to Green Manor tomorrow. I want to make sure that any residual, and she pauses, effects are purged from their bodies.
Sure,
That's all right, miss. Just I can tell you a little bit, just very quickly now, what we were facing. We were facing these ooze that were taking the forms of rats. But yeah, it was weird. But it was your normal diseased giant rats, except there were oozes.
That's very.
You're going to see
Renata cuts in and says, Eclipse, that's fascinating, and laughs very loudly. It's a mellifluous laugh. It's a very attractive laugh. And but she laughs as if you've just made a joke. And she goes, you have to tell me more. Please, let's go into my private chambers. Right, everybody, today is going to be a day off. Anybody who is doing non-essential work is off. I would like us to crack into our stores, please. I want ale, I want wine, I want food, please. Everybody responded very quickly, very well. I'm so pleased with all of you. And, well, my beloved Tristane is back, safe and sound. And I will send a message immediately to Duke Edmund, and I'm sure he thanks you all. Well done, everybody. You're showing yourself once again to be upstanding model citizens of this fine city. Thank you, everybody. And there's a polite applause. And there's a moment of, oh, are we allowed to go and party now? And she goes, well, go on then. And everybody scatters. You notice that the priestess doesn't. You notice that a lot of the people who are part of the administrative staff just stick around. But everybody else who's kind of coming and going charges out to spread the word that the rest of the day is going to be effectively a feast day. Renata kind of beckons you towards one of the doors, and you notice it leads towards the study.
I pick up Aiden from the floor. I've just got him fireman carry style across my shoulders.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just head back to the tavern and put him back in bed.
Wait! I got something. Glory starts rooting in her bag of holding and pulls out a really, really fluffy pink blanket.
Perfect.
Here.
Oh,
Do
this
you
is
want me
great.
to wrap him in that first and then pick him up, or just leave him wrapped in that on the
Be on the
floor?
floor.
Wrap
What the
it.
Throw it over both of them. Just over them both.
Yeah. Well, yes.
So I'm going to kneel down because I imagine even Farewell's probably taller than Glory because he's about 6'1", 6'2". I'm not sure how tall Glory is.
Yeah, I think he's taller than Glory.
Even with the
So-
I
horse?
have to think. Yeah, he's 5'7".
Okay, so in that case, I will kneel down so that she may drape the pink blanket over Iden because even Farewell knows how much he will love this.
But like, we carry him with us too, because I don't think we have time to go back with the town with him, so we just go with Renata.
Yeah.
Oh, we need to go
That's
with.
why I
Oh,
put
I
the
thought we were
blanket
done. I
over.
thought we were having a day off. Oh,
No,
night off.
that's the rest
we're
of them.
reporting.
Also, would you
Oh.
guys want to take a break soon?
I think that would probably be a good idea. Did you want to do that now and go into the study scene after that?
Yeah,
That
probably
could
be
be a
best.
really good break.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's take 10 minutes and we'll be right back. See you later, everyone.
Bye.
Welcome back, everybody. I just realised I still look like Renata. Let's get rid of Renata for now. When we left off, the party had been teleported back to the Green Manor, and were being hastily ushered into Renata's private wing, which contains the study that you've been in before. And as the rest of the Green Organization has been dismissed, and a feast day has been declared by Renata. You go in through a set of doors, up a flight of stairs, and you realise that you're taking kind of like a back stair route, almost like a servant route, into the wing proper. You end up upstairs, and you go into what seems to be a large lounge, rather than her study, which is on the ground floor. This is a wide open space. It has, again, books, but you see from the titles of the books that are immediately near you, they are of an entertainment nature. Some of them are of interesting historical events and things like that, but you can tell that they're the more frivolous and bard-worthy events. So you have a feeling that these might be either dramatized tales or tales that maybe Renata doesn't put much academic note into. There's a large area which has sofas. You have a feeling that she entertains using this lounge, and the sofas would probably seat about 12 people. And you know, I don't mean people kind of scooched up either. You know, this is a place where you lounge. There's a reasonably long dining table, could probably seat as many people. And then there's a fireplace that's off to one side with yet more sofas around that. And there's kind of like a small set of reading nooks as well. You do also notice that there's a small station that's set up for crafting of a sort. By the looks of it, tapestry is currently being done at that station, but there's nearby a large set of drawers, and you do see a few things that are out of place for working with cloth. You have a feeling that this is probably where Renata indulges in any kind of minor hobby crafts. The second that the door closes behind you all, Renata turns around and goes, "God damn it, Triss! You need to be better than this!" He gives he gives a cocky smile, goes to raise his hand, kind of slightly in your direction as if he's about to say something, and then she snaps her fingers, flicks her fingers, and his hand falls down to the side, and she nods her head no. She looks at you guys and says, "I'm terribly sorry. Tristane means a lot to me. You saved him. You should know. He means, well, he is my student for the longest time. But as I am loyal to my current Duke, I also am partial to my future one. And, well, frankly, I've always dropped the facade of professionalism when it comes to looking after my charge." Insight check for anybody who wishes to do it.
Yes.
Give me something good.
God damn it, why am I rolling so poorly?
That's a 10.
Feels horrible, doesn't it?
It's fucking awful. It's 15 for me.
13.
Right.
15 isn't that bad. I got 11.
I got a 10. What did I didn't get? I'm just asleep.
Yeah, I didn't roll. I'm asleep.
Or did you wake up?
Oh yeah, is there actually somewhere comfortable that I can put the pink Iden burritos?
Yeah, you can pretty much just plop him on the sofa. Yeah.
It does look like I'm carrying a corpse. I've just realised that. Because he's like really pale and he's wrapped up.
In a pink
So it's
fluffy
like-
blanket. Yeah, that's where I keep my corpses. So, yeah, you
He's
can
very
just
on
plop him
brand
onto
for
a
us.
sofa. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I'll find a sofa and dump him.
Okay, for your insight check, None of you notice anything. You can tell that there's just a lot of emotion and back and forth. And you haven't seen these two interact that much before. And Tristane walks up, takes Renata by both hands in what is a sincere gesture as he holds both of her hands close together and says, Renata, I'm not a child anymore. If I'm to be my father's son, I need to take control of this city when the gods decree it. I need to know the city. Besides, I was following something with purpose. I didn't realize that I was going to be ambushed. She goes, that's the point of an ambush, Tristane. Please, friends, take a seat. Let's discuss these rats. Sorry for cutting you off, Eclipse. But I didn't want to, loose lips. So, where did you see these rats?
Just in the entrance of, just before we got into the sewer. So, like, the entrance bit, like, in a, what was it, kind of an old working place?
They were service tunnels.
So, in the service tunnels, these rats. And then we found some dead fish that had, like, a purple tinge that also was these ooze things, but kind of dead.
She kind of reaches to her neck, almost like a stress reaction. Not that you've ever seen her do that before. And she doesn't whisper it. She's not keeping it from you. But as she's touching her neck, she goes, Olivia, go to the service tunnels that... and she looks at you and says that our new recruits started their mission in. Bring back to me any corpses of animals and any ooze that you find.
I wouldn't touch the ooze with bare hands or probably even gloved hands. There's some kind of unpleasant necroticness to it. So I would recommend doing it as hands-off as you can.
Fantastic. Thank you, Farewell. That's very important. She touches her neck again and goes and says, actually, she says something in a language that I doubt many of you understand, if any of you. What languages do you all speak?
I speak.
Too many.
God.
Farewell speaks Abyssal, Common, Dwarvish, and Primordial.
Okay.
I speak common and undercommon.
Mm-hmm.
Common, Infernal, Abyssal, and Draconic.
Okay.
Ricora?
I don't know where it's written. Common and halfling, but I thought I'd written somewhere that maybe a little bit of Elvish.
We had that discussion, didn't we?
Yeah, you have a passing. Yeah, you have a passing knowledge of Elvish. Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't be able to recite any plays, but you spoke it with.
Yeah.
And Aiden. Aiden's asleep. I don't need to know what he speaks.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to wake up Aiden again.
He speaks in his sleep.
Can I make a roll to wake up Aiden?
Pour,
Not yet. You
find
can't because
some wine and pour it down his throat.
Yeah, because this is reaction to something that has happened. So she turns around and she says, as she's touching her neck, she says, "Sura nekira fasciai tu tenaro ka da tikten abetin to ordisha fashis." So then removes her hand from her neck and says, "I've passed that on to Olivia." So.
Did anyone? So no one understood the language.
No one understood the language, which is why I just made up a language. Do you still want to try to wake up Aiden?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
I want to wake up Iden because this is quite important that he's here for this.
This is one of the most catty things you've ever done. Go for it.
There's
Catty.
no image of just Cora doing Cora Eclipse doing the proper like cat thing where she just keeps smacking him square on the face, and just like that. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up.
What do you need me to roll?
I don't know. A cat waking somebody up roll. I guess roll an attack just for fun.
Please say he's got like more than 1d4 plus whatever his strength is, health. I can't remember where we left.
Okay, that's a hit because that's a 24.
Sure. Okay,
Right.
I'm going to say that you find a spot where you're like, where can I poke him? And then you go, there. You just poke him. Aiden, whatever blissful oblivion that you're currently going through, you feel the sensation of a jabbing somewhere around your collarbone, which immediately wakes you up.
Ow.
If you didn't
Was
get
that
to my description
necessary?
before, your maximum hit points have been restored.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Including the ones from my Crimson Right.
No one's healed you. Just your maximum hit points have gone up.
Yeah, but my Crimson Right.
Your Crimson Right has ended, I assume, because
Oh.
you're like...
Yeah, fair.
You were sleeping.
Yeah.
Also, when you wake up, you should notice the pink monstrosity you're wearing.
I'm.
You're very tightly in that blanket. Like, I mean, you're like he's wrapped you as if you were a corpse.
You have been.
I mean,
Properly
you are
swaddled.
well
Yeah.
and truly swaddled in that.
What was?
I am proud of
what was
both of
that
you for
for?
using the swaddle correctly. Yeah. Yeah.
We're currently being spoken to by Renata about this very important thing that happened in Suez, and I think it's probably good that you're awake for a little bit until then. You can go back to sleep once we've finished everything, but just be awake for this bit, okay, please, Aiden?
I say okay, and I immediately try to go to sleep again.
I can't just I prop you up against like the sofa and like make you.
This is becoming more and more Weekend at Bernie's.
You're still like swaddled in, like you can't move. But I just prop you up.
Please don't shake him too hard. We don't know what that'll do to his brain.
Okay, moving on. So Renata says, so you said rats made of goo. Oh, no, sorry, rats made of ooze.
No,
Well-
ooze made of rats, technically.
Technically, because the ooze basically ate up the rat from the inside out, replicated its form, but it wasn't really quite a stable concoction, so I assume that it is the side effect of something better.
Okay, so you don't. I was about to say, do you suspect abyssals? But no, thank you, Glory.
By the way, Simon, remind me because I wasn't here last session. The last session I was in, I remember I tested seeing what my Rite of the Dawn does to the goo.
Mm-hmm.
Did it damage it in any way?
It did damage it, but the way it resists damage is very peculiar. It has done damage.
Because, like-
I'll give you that much.
Yeah.
Hello to everybody from the RPG lab. Hope you had a good session.
Hello. I asked Simon because my Crimson Rite does extra damage to undead. I thought that would be like the way Aiden would test if that was an undead thing or not.
No, you didn't. Normally, when your Crimson Rite interacts with the undead, there's a very peculiar flash of light, a very visible flash of light, as you interact with the animus, which it has in place of a soul. There was no animus here. It was for all intents and purposes, a non-undead creature. I'm going to
All
go.
right.
I'm going to go with
Okay.
that as the.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't want to confuse you with terms, so I'm going to go with it was a non-undead creature because it did not flare with the energy spark that normally dictates to you that necromantic animus has been used on
All right.
that being.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So that clarifies that part at least for you. Yeah. Okay. So she turns and says, a byproduct, some sort of experimentation. Somebody's experimenting
Yeah.
with maybe abyssal magics or at least volatile magics deep within our city. Well, we've got to make sure that this is stopped, otherwise it's only going to result in, well, more buildings being brought to the ground. Tristane steps up and says, I found a peculiar aspect in the merfolk that I was seen to be abducted by was not a merfolk at all. Presumably, whatever this ooze is, it found some wayward being and consumed it and used it to get above ground. Somehow was able to change its appearance to a regular humanoid, being that I doubt that it was able to abduct me in a rat form or a fish form. Interesting thing about the fish form, Renata, it was too simple a life form. The ooze, the second that it occupied the fish, tried to replicate its functions and failed. It seems to need a certain level of complexity, otherwise it fails. She goes, that doesn't make sense. Normally it requires less complexity to work, and you build your way up to being able to affect biomancy, alchemy to higher life forms.
It could be that the original is made for more intelligent life forms, and such the excess that we encountered in the sewers simply retained that quality.
That's yeah. No, absolutely. That makes really good sense.
Okay.
Because
I would like to. This is Renata now. I would like to sway you all to silence on this, if I may. No need to cause a panic, but we need to start investigating. Oh, I apologize, Tristane. We need to offer our assistance in your current investigation and see it bear fruit. He turns to you all and, with a slightly conspiratorial look, says, I was going to ask you about that, Renata. With your permission, being that I was attacked, I think by other agents unknown, an assassination attempt. Prior to being abducted, it seems like I'm having a day of full attention. I feel that there's a lot of people after me today, or at present. It would benefit me greatly to know that I could call upon my new friends here, assuming that they're not doing anything for you. Would I have open access to do this? She looks at him with a kind of curious look, almost as if what he's asking is completely out of character for him. And she says, well, yes, of course. We are not very long acquainted, but what I've seen from them, I've observed them in their missions. I believe that they're, as the colloquial would say, the real deal. And we can trust them at the very least to be loyal, knowing full well what a lack of loyalty will yield for them. And
okay.
they were ready to risk their lives for you, facing down creatures that by the sounds of it would make most people run. So yes, I will of course insist on sending you extra guards. And he said, yes, extra guards will be fine. Just if I'm having a soiree or a get-together, I can call these people in as friends, being that they are my saviors, after all, and nobody will bat an eye at it. I'm clearly rewarding them for what they've done for me, but they'll also be there for my protection. Will you agree to this? And Renata immediately
Of
says,
course.
Of course, absolutely. Assuming that you are all okay with this, I hope it's
That
not going to
sounds
be.
absolutely fabulous. I
Is this
do
going to be
love a
more
good
hard?
party.
Oh no.
Glory, please shut the fuck up.
Please tell me Aiden just woke up for that one moment, and then shut his eyes again. It's just shut up.
I thought I was been I thought Clips managed to get me awake. I've been awake.
You're
for
propped
the
up
entire
against
time.
the wall, wanting to
Yeah.
be asleep but awake. Yeah.
Swaddled still.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll carry Els just after Miracle Max. So yeah, he looks at you and gives you this beaming smile and says, "That knocks a number of items off my list. Now, if you don't mind, Renata, I'm very tired, very muddy, very dirty. I'm going to bid you good day. I'll take some of your guards that are downstairs, and I'll head back home. I think we should re-adjourn maybe in 3 days' time. I need to show the city that all is well, and also collate some of the data that I have. I'll have one of those rat bodies sent to my wing of the palace, so that I can do my own experimentation, if that's okay." And Renata just nods. And if we reconvene in 3 days' time to see if there's anything we can glean from this, I would also recommend, if any of you fine folk wish to experiment on this ooze, the bodies that were there, that samples get sent to you as well. Although I recommend probably not to the tavern. We'll arrange for somewhere where you can observe it in private.
That would be interesting. Farewell. Would
Yeah.
you mind assisting me?
Of course not. I'd love to get my hands and figure out what they're doing.
Mhm.
Definitely.
I might be able to help as well. I do have some arcane knowledge.
I'm sure as a team effort, we will be a formidable force. I will, of course, do my own individual experimentation here within the manor. As for a place where you may perform your own experiments, I believe there's a warehouse down in the Docklands that you're very familiar with now.
Oh yes.
Consider it yours. This can be a place where you store any excess equipment, and it should give you a nice private place to be able to conduct your work. I shall make sure that there's a city guard that patrols the front of it, and they are aware that you have access at all hours.
Thank you very much. Ms. Renata, I have a question that doesn't really pertain to any of this. May I ask you that just before we go? It's just a quick question.
Of course. I'm in your debt. You have not only returned to me someone who means so much to me, but you've also raised the reputation of our organization, and you yourselves have proved yourself to be everything I hoped you to be. Please, go ahead, ask your question.
Yes. Do you remember the painting you gave me of the mouth, the entrance to what they believe to be the ruins of Jordan?
Yes, I forgive me for making an assumption, but your heritage, the heritage of the Tabaxi Naru, is such a rich and beautiful one, and also has such relevance in this area of the local history, that I thought it would be an appropriate adornment to your room.
Yes. My question was if this piece is just an artist's rendition on what they think it might look like, or is this a painting of the location itself?
Oh, I have no idea, but what a wonderful question. I recommend that you speak to maybe some of the people who are knowledgeable about art and history in the local area. There's I'll see if I can find some names of people who might be able to help you if you haven't already sourced them yourself. To tell you the truth, it was just a minor piece of art that we just found and thought it would look good. Um, it was part of Noki kitting out the place, and he asked for some potential pieces. And you do know that there's other pieces of art throughout the tavern. Mostly it's what's called penny art. It's art where if somebody trashes it, you can just replace it straight away. It's kind of like the mass-produced stuff. When I say mass-produced, it's produced by people who are selling it on the street, and the paintings are a bit roughed up. These aren't paintings from galleries. The painting that you have, though, looks very, very well looked after. It looks old, but it is very well looked after. And without getting you to roll an art appreciation check, I will say that you notice a profound
He has a very
difference.
discerning eye.
Investigation.
Yeah, everything is investigation. But you do notice that there's a difference between the art of the things that adorn the corridors and the art that you have in your bedroom. Okay?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. She says, well, I'm going to look forward to my samples, and I guess it's going to be a night of study, a late night. That's not to say that I probably wouldn't sleep anyway after the drama of today, but I'm sure that the rest of our organisation will be partying throughout the streets. I recommend you join them. There's nothing else to do today. Tristane is safe. You've managed to perform so well. And she kind of does this whole kind of exasperated sigh, and she says, I'm really quite lost for words, and so appreciative that you're part of this organisation. Thank you again. I'll probably, when I have a clearer head, send some personal thank yous to you all. In the meantime, please go enjoy the rest of your day. Well, the night now. My, how it's flown.
I really. Eclipse thinks about saying something about that she really likes the invisible cloaks, but then thinks better of it. And goes. And she goes, thank you, Renata.
So unless any of the rest of you have something to say to her on the way out, you can head out into the street.
I have nothing to say. I don't know about the rest of you.
Okay.
Would you like me to let you out of your swaddling clothes, or are you good as you are?
Oh yeah.
I am joking, of course. I'll let you out. It's just that I couldn't resist. I mean, you've been so docile. And I'll unclip him from the blanket and just take the blanket away from him.
Sure. Okay. You head out of Renata's quarters, down into the manor proper, and this is like a city manor anyway, so it's kind of it doesn't have like the stately manor with wings and things like that. It tends to be quite blocky, although it does seem to have a central courtyard, which seems to be just this private place where Renata can be outside without having to be exposed in the street. You walk down into the central foyer again, and there's no more applause. It seems to have gone back to business as usual. There's very few people here. The people that are there are walking backwards and forwards with arms full of papers and ledgers and things of that kind. They look like the type of people who wouldn't have partied anyway. You do notice one thing, though, that is when you walk through these guys. Normally, these guys they have their head down. They have a kind of serious and studious look on their face, and now they make a point of meeting your eyes and smiling. Yeah.
I try not to meet anyone's eyes. I am very uncomfortable with it.
Okay. You head out into the street unless there's anybody here you want to speak to.
Yeah.
I will want to check in with Cora just quickly, just to see if she's okay.
Sure.
She's been, because even for her, she's been quiet. Hey, you alright?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just I don't know, we seem to be in demand by a lot of people.
Yeah, it's not usually this much in demand unless there's something really bad going on. So the whole
Oh,
cheering
I
of
think
people
there's
having,
something very bad going on.
well, if it was going to be a history, it was going to be a repeating one, I guess. It's just you've been a bit sad ever since the party, and I'm worried.
Well, no, I'm okay. There was just a moment there that I don't know. I haven't had that kind of hope in a while, and it kind of brought it all back.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know, not moving on or anything, but kind of sort of felt like I'd started to settle into this new whatever. This,
Yeah.
um, I don't know, and just seeing Aw there and then whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still curious about who that elf was, and maybe okay, they're not who I thought, but did I tell you they were Fae or they had Fae in them, and that's really I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to talk about it right here, but it's I think that there's more to it. If you spot them, and just keep an eye out. Maybe
Okay. I
I
mean,
don't know.
we could ask Eclipse to help us. I mean, she's very good at finding people. It's kind of what she does.
I guess. But what would I do if I found her anyway? There is
Talk to her. I mean,
yeah.
Cora, to get to say hello or even goodbye properly is something many people don't ever get to do. You know more than anyone I would kill for the opportunity to do it right. Even if she never wants to see you, if it is her, you should
Oh,
try.
it's not her.
Well, I don't want to be funny,
Eowyn
but
told me.
you don't look the same as you did.
No, I know, but Eowyn could look somehow, and she said it's not her.
Hmm.
Eowyn, who is currently sat on your shoulder, Cora, is just kind of. Only you can see her, obviously, at this point, and she kind of is nodding her head slightly dejectedly. She seems to be quite pensive at the moment. Maybe because of everything that's gone on. Maybe she's just processing all of the stuff she's seen.
Mm.
Well, how about this then? We get back to the tavern, we get blindingly drunk, and maybe I'll let you take me to see that artist guy, that be something that you keep raving on about every time we go drinking.
That is true. I have so I pull out I've still got the little leaflet that he gave. When does it say he's playing next?
He is playing next, let's say, in 2 days' time, and he's playing at the Wasp and Apology, which is it's a slightly pretentious bar that's in the royal quarter. It's
Can
it's
we all
underneath
go
an
there?
auction
Can
house.
we all go there?
How about
I'm
this?
sure it'll happen.
We all dress up as silly as we can find. We get blind drunk and we go to that party and we forget about the fact that most of us are either almost died or had probably the most chaotic and crazy week of our lives. And maybe just be us again for just one night.
If we're not dead in 2 days, we should totally do that.
Well, here's to not being dead in 2 days. Come on, we should
Yeah.
catch up because the others are giving us that, oh, look, they're talking again. Look.
Oh, we're walking and talking, but yeah.
Yeah.
Are we outside of the green organization yet?
I'm
I
saying,
would have thought that's when I would have talked to you.
yeah.
We would
Okay,
wait
no,
till the
that's
outside
fine then.
door.
Yeah,
So
I'd
if
say you
we're
would have
if we're
got out of the
outside,
gates and started. You're walking down the street. You've had a few people, as you've been talking, you've had a few people just cheer across the street. You can tell there's still kind of green organization people who are still milling around and all the rest of it. And you've had a couple of kind of "Hooray! Well done!" kind of thing across the street. And
I don't know, Rodrigo.
Yeah. Again, I want to make sure I have my green organization hidden,
mhm,
and I also try to cover part of my mouth with my scarf, with like just like this.
sure.
Just on the same note, my green organization one is not visible. Like once we picked it up again in the cave, especially if I had it out before, it's kind of it's like around near my belt, but it's definitely like in a pocket type thing or something.
Sure.
Just so
Okay.
you know.
You're still kind of recognizable at this stage. Largely, even without the badges, you do have one of the few tabaxis in the city and a water genasi, so you are very recognizable. The only person that you do meet that you do recognize is that as you walk past the Rat and Carrot, which, if you remember, was the place where you first got a bit of a meal around the corner from the Green Mansion when you first were recruited. And as you're passing there, someone is thrown very violently out of the door of the Rat and Carrot. Hecrus steps out of the tavern and says, "You would come in here and say that? Now? Now?" Goes up and boots the guy just as he's there on the floor, kind of going, "Oh," trying to get up. Hecrus runs up and in her male boots, may I point out, she goes up and kicks the guy in the ribs, and there's this crack. It's, and she's like, "Limp home, limp home."
Fucking Mortal Kombat X-ray.
She goes, "Limp home and sleep it off," and then turns around and goes, "Hey guys, it's wild in there. Are you knackered, or do you want to come in and party with us?"
I don't know. You
Your
want to grab at
call.
least one?
The Rat and Carrot looks crammed. It looks crammed to the teeth.
I gotta say, I have never had a drink in the Rat and Carrot.
I grab him by the arm and start walking towards the tavern.
Okay.
I
I guess
follow.
we're going here then.
At least for one in the crazy, and then if we want a quiet one somewhere else, we can go.
Isn't that how all of your stories start? We only had one.
But come on, if people are going to start shouting and cheering at us, we're not exactly inconspicuous. We might as well go and make the most of it. Maybe we won't have to buy drinks.
Exactly.
That, and I don't want
know,
her to kick me like she did him.
I don't know.
That's true. Well, hopefully we'll be on her side.
Yeah.
Free boost sounds appealing, but I look at that crowd and I start getting like uneasy.
I grab Ida's arm and be like, "It's alright, you're with us."
I don't know if
It's
that's
alright,
better
there's too
or
many
worse.
people. They'll never see you in there. Let's go.
Let's go. I drag Ivan with me.
I shout out to Hecrus as we're walking towards them, like, "Hey, Hecrus, let me buy you a drink. Let's go. Don't kick me."
She goes, "You honestly think you're going to be buying any drinks tonight? But you can get me a drink. You get to choose what I drink. Come on." She goes up. She goes to put her hand on your shoulder and realizes how, because she's gigantic, this Dragonborn. She goes to put her hand on your shoulder and she realizes in order to do that she'd have to like almost bend over to do so. And so instead she kind of does an awkward kind of a bro moment where she kind of doesn't know what to do, punches you lightly in the arm, and then kind of ushers you guys in. The Rat and Carrot.
I stagger 2 feet to the left, to the other side, and then just as if like, yeah, totally, that was like.
So
don't worry, you get used to the height thing. It's fine. You learn to adjust.
She kind of she's really
Hey,
good
I'm
spirits.
tall for a halfling.
Sure you are.
She's very nearly a 5/8 sling. So yeah, as you say this to her, Farewell, Hecrus actually tips you a wink, and it's not a flirtatious wink, but it's very much a one of us wink. Yeah. And she goes, "Tomorrow I've got to introduce you to the clubhouse. Come on. But today we're in here." Ushers you inside, and you get hit by a wall of noise. I'm talking St. Patrick's Day level wall of noise as you go into a pub. And there are bards playing, people dancing, there's people on tables. As you notice that the bar staff they're kind of almost a blur going backwards and forwards across the bar. The Tauren that runs this bar is just grabbing hold of a keg. He's not even behind the bar. He's in front of the bar. He picks up a keg, smashes the top of the keg with his fist, and just starts pouring it into random tankards and just starts holding it out, and people are just snatching it from his hands. It's somewhat raucous, almost a little violent. People are bumping into each other, but rather than even apologizing, they're just kind of letting it go. The apology already assumed, as this seething throng of people are just drinking, eating, feasting, gaming, dancing, just having just an absolute riot of a time. Even though the bards are singing one particular song, there's a group of dwarves in the corner that are all singing a particularly bawdy song. And after a while, you do notice that the bards just give up and start doing their song instead. And it's just it's a beautiful chaos in this tavern at present. So Hecrus kind of, in a mock bullying way, is like, "Come on, out of the way, there's celebrities here, celebrities, come on." And she's pushing people off to the side. And you get to the bar straight away, and it's a what's the race?
6 of the house's best. Obviously, we need one each. And Hecrus.
I thought that was just Chloe's drinks, just 6 for her, and we get our own.
I can't remember the other name for them, but the woman behind the bar is in her early 40s, and it's quite clear that she's a sea elf. She turns.
Are you Triton or just a sea elf?
No, she's not a Triton. That's why I was trying to use the other name for sea elves.
Yeah.
She's a proper sea elf. And you do notice that she's, even though she's got eyeballs like you guys have got, and she's got 2 eyes, those eyeballs have got multiple pupils in them. And despite that, and despite the otherworldly nature about her, she seems to be quite attractive. And she's behind the bar. You've never seen her behind the bar, but you've only been here once before. She's grabbing hold of bottles, pulling the corks out of it, and filling all sorts of stuff and handing it out and all the rest of it. Just kind of letting the cork go wherever, expecting the bottles to be empty by the end of the night. As Glory comes up, she gives her a kind of a playful, sharp look and goes, "What kind of drink?"
Your best.
She reaches under the bar, pulls out what is effectively two like magnums of bubbly, and grabs hold of the first one, slams it onto the bar, and where normally somebody would use a sword or a knife to do the whole kind of chopping off the top of the champagne bottle, she kind of chops her hand across it so that her fingernails touch the glass where the sword normally would, and the top just goes poof straight off the top. And
Roll to flirt.
She grabs.
Can I roll to flirt? You had me at
What
cutting
hell?
off the glass. Like, can I roll
What
to flirt?
Just instant lady murder.
So I'm assuming that because she's currently in the middle of something, you can't really get a word in at the moment. It's very, very loud. The best you could probably hope for, Glory, is a kind of a bit of a pose and a pouty lip and a look, I guess. What are we going to make her do? Performance? What do you think? Yeah, I think this. I think this is a performance.
Performance, surely.
It's
Rock
as near as
charisma.
damn it mime. Let's
Charisma/performance.
Yeah.
give me a performance check. As you're doing that, she picks up the second magnum, flicks her fingers across the top again, and the second one pops. And she's as these fountains are hitting the ceiling, because it's quite a low ceiling. As say the Tauren only just gets in here. These two plumes of bubbly hit the ceiling, drip down from the top. There's a couple of people near you who just go ah and catch some of the bubbles in their mouth, which thankfully, this is quite a clean pub. There's some pubs I wouldn't drink bubbly off the ceiling. Hey, new sentence. And she's pulling out these goblets. There's no flutes, no crystal here. And she's filling these goblets with these magnums as they're still very much bubbling over. So, what was your result, Gloria?
Well, performance is my best, so only a 15.
Okay, well, I was giving you that because I didn't want to give you disadvantage, which you would have got otherwise. At a 15, you strike a decent pose. Zoolander would be happy with you. As she starts filling the goblets, you catch her eye, and as she's filling the goblets now, she's just looking bolt straight at you.
Nice.
She finishes up, hands the goblets out to you all, and then as people are pressing in to get some of theirs as well, she's just filling. But she gives you a. I apologize if I end up throwing any words at Corinne and Felicia. That your English is impeccable. It's certainly much better than my Swedish. But if I say that she gives you a coquettish look, do you know what that means?
No.
Sort of. But only
Yes or
because I read way too much fan fiction.
Okay. So a coquettish look it's kind of flirtatious whilst also acting embarrassed and also acting as if she doesn't do this kind of thing. It is the brief explanation of the word, and it's a beautiful fucking word, coquettish. There's a little bit more to it, but that's as much as you need to get from her. And she kind of looks to you as if to say, I don't normally do this kind of thing, but also she's continuing to look at you, and it's clear that this is meant for you to see. Her reaction is meant for you to see.
Yes.
Um,
Perfect.
the Tauren comes up, slaps Farewell on the back, and says, "Well, what can I say? There's a discarded beer keg off to the side, and you can tell that one of his assistants has just gone to get another one." He goes, tell us all, what battles did you have under the city? You know, where did you find him? What danger was he in?"
Ow.
Don't look at me like that. Why have I got to answer the question?
You
rolled.
don't have to answer the question. We're drinking.
All right, okay then. I'm just gonna drink.
We couldn't possibly tell you all the secrets, otherwise you might be really jealous about how good we are.
I might tell you some secrets if you can get me some cherry vodka.
He goes. He pauses for a second, flicks his eyes over to the sea elf. She kind of gives him like it's not an imperceptible nod. She gives him a nod that's as subtle as possible. He goes, "I just so happen to have a bottle behind the bar," and she reaches out. She reaches out for a bottle, and I guess because Glory is focused on her, her fingers trace down the sides of the bottle, almost as if she's caressing it, and then hands it to the Tauren. The Tauren rips the top off the bottle and says, "Here you go. It'll taste of fresh cherries." She goes, "Black cherries. Fresh black cherries."
Thank you. Hold on. How does she do that? I mean, everywhere we go. Anyway, so
Oh, I see. Sorry. I thought you meant black cherries. Oh,
no,
yeah.
no. I got that, and I know how that works.
Yeah.
I meant this.
Yeah, we should probably get a few drinks in now before she's permanently distracted and never actually serves
Well,
us.
I think that she's pretty much done for the night, so I think we can count her out.
Well, I want a drinking game.
Okay.
Iris, where are you? And
Ivan, what
where's
are you doing?
Ivan? Is he fallen asleep yet?
No, he's here. Let's join.
Do I have to?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm actually sympathising with Ivan. The
He drinks all the time. He's gonna be fine.
Yeah, it's gonna
Sounds
be fun.
good. I'm in. Let's drink.
when you said drinking game, by the way, Cora, there was a small cheer nearby, and there's a small group who's kind of listening in as to what the drinking game is going to be, and you can see that they're kind of collecting up drinks so that they can kind of either join in or copy the game at their table as well. Tends to be a quite young mixture of dwarves, tieflings, a couple of half-orcs, and humans. And one guy, not of their group, but a separate guy, comes up and says, "The name's Baldir. I'm in." Right, so what's the game?
1 second.
He's
my
three sheets to the
Tauren
wind,
friend-
this very drunk dwarf. It's one of those things where it's like social interactions have gone out the window for him. He's like, "Drinking game, that's me, and he's just basically just barreled in. He's that guy, yeah? That guy is here.
What were you going to say, Nick?
I was going to say, my Tauren friend here, fish people, that is your secret. So, what drinking game are we playing?
The Tauren gives you a wink farewell, and he goes, "Keep the bottle, my friend. Come back here when you need me." So,
Thank you. And I've
interesting
got
stuff. He then goes off and grabs
I
it.
don't know. Like, me personally, I'm very bad at drinking games. I don't know what drinking games there are, so I'm going to go refer to Nick's knowledge, because
Yeah.
Because Nick has to fulfill the stereotype of British white male of, he did a lot of drinking games because of course he played rugby.
Yeah.
That's that thing. Yes.
Just
I'm
never play
not
the
sure
V for
any-
Vendetta game. Just that's the one thing I would say.
I would suggest we either something along the lines of Nails, if anybody's ever played that.
Why is
Nick.
that?
I have
Nick,
no idea.
Okay.
I don't drink. I don't
Alright,
know
okay.
any
So-
drinking games.
Okay, nails. There is a log in the middle of the table with some nails that have been very lightly hammered into them. You each take a hammer,
Okay.
and you have to go up and straight back down and knock the hammer. And if you hit the nail and the nail goes into the log, you're good. If you bend the nail or you miss, you've got to take a shot.
Okay. Sure,
It starts off really, really easy, but once you start, after a couple of shots, it gets really hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's other games that we can play, but that are like rhythm games.
Mhm.
I
Ooh, I
wouldn't
like
suggest
the sound of that.
we shouldn't play something like Flaming Arseholes, because that is just a recipe for disaster. Because that actually involves fire.
Okay,
Yeah.
Nick,
I'm up for fire.
Our team name. I feel like you just discovered our team name.
It's a factual and yet figurative description of what we are.
And now
By the way,
drinking with Nick has
Simon.
gone onto my bucket list. Carry on.
There's some terrible games that it depends. If you want to play a game that's simply it's a good laugh and you just want to get drunk at a reasonable pace, Nails is a pretty damn good one to play.
And
If you want to get so blindingly drunk that you're deliberately trying to fuck over at least a couple of people, then the rhythm games are the best ones to play because you do it in such a way that you pick on the person that's got no coordination. Hasn't got very good memory, and you just ruin that
Nails.
person.
It seems like a simple enough game for
Yeah.
the characters to
And
do. And it's
I
like,
absolutely believe that Nails would be played in Ostergard. So at
It's a
the
traditional German drinking game, by the way.
I've played it. I've played it a lot.
Rodrigo wants to say something.
yeah. While I'm imagining that Farewell was like that whole explanation Nick did. I feel like Farewell was doing that in canon,
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
right? As much as I would love to drink, this place is becoming borderline sensory overload for Aiden. I'm gonna see if I can sneak out.
Let's for flavor do. I'm gonna say you succeed in getting out either way. But let's do a stealth check just to
Right.
see if you slope away with some finesse.
It'd be really bad if I cast command on him.
Yeah.
make
Well,
him stay.
That
Didn't we have a
Cool.
discussion about
That
morals
dies.
earlier?
Yeah, yeah, we can't do
100%.
that. A drinking game I thought was perfect, but no.
that's a 19.
Yeah, sure. You
Yeah,
managed.
he's
Well,
on.
Yeah.
My passive perception is higher.
See ya.
Farewell.
Of course it is.
Farewell, you do notice that Aiden has slipped away, but by the time you've noticed, he's so close to the door and there's people in between you and him. So Nails is definitely something that would be played in Ostergald. As I say, I've played it before, it's hilarious. The mention of Nails, suddenly you've got dwarves rooting around in their pockets, finding nails, and also Torm, the Tauren, grabs hold of some nails behind the bar. He goes to offer a hammer, and one of the dwarves like, "Nah, use a real hammer," and pulls out
And so
a light
I pull my
D4
mace
hammer.
out.
Oh god!
No, I pull my actual mace out that I've got in my bag and drop it on the table.
Sure. The dwarf who was pulling out a light throwing hammer, it's like a D4 hammer, looks at the mace, looks at you as if to say respect, and puts his away. Because as far as he's concerned, getting out a bigger bashy thing is definitely how to get dwarven respect. You start the game.
Okay.
And I'm going to say let's just do a quick fire round. So everybody who's in the game, which is everyone apart from Aiden, I want you first of all to do a Constitution saving throw.
That's not good.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I can reroll
Natural
ones. Damn it! In a way, there's a problem with rerolling ones. You don't get no fun. Right, okay.
So that's a 6 for farewell.
Yep.
Oof.
Natural 20.
Okay.
19.
Right. Okay.
Oh wait, saving
I'm gonna
throw.
get drunk under the
Let's,
table in my own drinking game.
15 for me.
Okay. So yep. Okay, so that goes up to that. I need a piece of paper because, damn it, this is important. Right. Okay. Right. Here we go. Here we go. So we've got Cora. This is a bad piece of paper. That's a piece of paper. There we go. Right. Okay. So we have K for Cora, not for Corinne. E for Eclipse. G for Glory. F for Farewell. So everybody, do me a dexterity-based attack roll, please. So dexterity, and I'll give you all proficiency.
In hammering.
Alright, okay,
Oh.
this dice is going in the jail because it's just rolled poorly again.
Ooh.
So that's 8 for Farewell.
9 for me.
So we're adding our modifier, did you say? And proficiency?
Yeah, dex and proficiency.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. So yes, dex and proficiency. Basically, the reason why it's dex and not strength is that you've got a crowd around you, and each of you are taking turns to very quickly pick up this mace because you have to do it in one smooth action. You have to snatch up the mace, bring it down on top of a nail, and you're not swinging this thing through an arc. There's no space for that. It's more a case of, as I say, dexterity rather than strength.
Boing.
So, Corinne, you got a 9. Okay. You don't hit a nail, so you're going to be taking an extra shot. Farewell, what did you get?
Natural 20 on my constitution, so I'm fine.
Farewell's is... Oh, sorry, let me double check. That is 6.
Yep, so you don't hit a nail either. So, Cora.
22.
22. You hit the nail. That sucker goes straight in. And Glory.
13.
13. Yeah. Glory snatches up the mace in a style that makes you think she's about to miss. And suddenly she just kind of, almost like a judge hitting a gavel, she just very, in a perfunctory manner, just goes smack, and it goes in. And bear in mind, a mace is either a studded or flanged beating weapon. So it's not a hammer with a lovely face on it. This is actually more difficult than the average game of nails. And once Glory pulls it away, thinking, oh, hang on, I think the nail went between the two flanges, she's delighted to see that the nail's been knocked straight into the wood. Constitution saving throw for everybody, disadvantage to Eclipse and Farewell.
Well, did my natural 20 do nothing for the earlier one?
Natural 20s don't always give you good results. Sometimes it's just a pass.
16.
16, okay.
11. Okay, so total with
Did that dice just go like flying off your tray there, Kate?
No, it's just me laughing because I rolled a natural 1 and then I re-rolled and got a 2.
So my constitution with the disadvantage is 12.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, okay, good to know.
So I got a 4 in total with my
4 in total.
modifier for Constitution.
We've all been there. The shot goes down, and you do that. You do what is the equivalent in drinking games of jumping the shark, and you suddenly do that.
No.
Do you remember that exhale? We've all been there, where you take the shot and you go.
Oh.
You know you've taken a hit, Cora. You know it. Okay. So.
I think she always knew that was probably going to happen because she's so small, but she's like, fuck it. I don't care. Carry me home.
The dwarves are only slightly taller than you. Fuck it, Farewell will carry me home.
Someone will. wrapped as a giant burrito.
Oh
Glory.
yeah, it reminds me, I still have got that pink fluffy blanket. I'm carrying it around.
You still carry around the
David
blanket.
back.
I just love the fact that this conquering hero, one of the saviors of the day, is walking around with what is effectively a sofa snuggle. Glory, what's
Hey man, it's comfy.
what's your result?
18.
18. Yeah, sure. It burns as it goes down, but it's a good burn. So everybody, do me another nail attack, dex-based attack.
Oof.
Oh, that's terrible. That's 10 for farewell.
Yeah.
Fucking free.
So Farewell lines it up, and he's kind of like, "Yep, I got this. The mace goes down. He lifts it back up. Nail is completely untouched."
Yeah.
Kate,
7.
7. Yep, no nail for you. Eclipse,
9.
9. No nail for you. Glory.
I rolled a 13 again.
Yeah, you hit the nail. It's you're there. You're kind of like, well, it worked last time. Boom, and you're like, yay, it worked. So, Constitution saving throw for everybody. Disadvantage to Corinne, Kate, and Nick.
So for everyone,
You can't fucking believe this, but I rolled 2 natural ones.
I rolled 1 natural 1
Okay.
God.
and a 10.
Okay. So
That's a total of 3.
okay. So Eclipse goes up to that. Farewell.
This was
Farewell.
Constitution, wasn't it?
Okay. Yeah, it's Constitution. Yeah.
Oh,
Oops.
saving throws. Constitution saving throws.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
It doesn't matter, actually.
8.
8. Okay.
8 for me as well.
Okay. Yep. So
By the way,
that's.
Simon, I just want to bring you to your attention that we all know of the timer that's currently on 8 minutes on the thing.
We're in a drinking game, babe. We don't
Yeah.
have time.
We're gonna be dragged off to get sobered up, like Farewell was with spells.
Yeah.
This is like when you guys
That's
sleep already.
so cool. You'll love
Yeah,
it.
well,
It's like,
because of what we're doing, fuck the timer. Hang on a sec.
This is more important.
Yeah. There you go. I'm pausing that for now. So, in that case, everybody go for a nail. The DCs have obviously gone up depending on how many drinks you've failed at.
well, that's a 17 for me.
17 for Farewell. You hit the nail on the head. Well done.
Champion!
22 for
God.
me.
Okay, well done. You get it too. It has to be said, Farewell gets it with a certain lack of finesse. He just the fact that you shouted champion afterwards is kind of how you hit it as well.
16 for me.
16. Yep. You hit the nail as well. The nail's starting to move a bit, Cora. Those nails are starting to look like wascally wabbits. And Glory.
I got a 2.
Oh. Okay.
This dice is going into jail.
So there's a point now where you guys are. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7. Okay. Right.
Very drunk. Very, very drunk.
Oh yeah. As I say.
Oh, no.
No, we lost Rodrigo.
Well, he's come
That
back.
was an accident. That was an accident. I did a misclick.
Yeah.
Thankfully, you were the last person in before, so you're back in the same place. Okay, so I need to know something from you guys quickly. I should have asked at the beginning. I need to know your Constitution modifiers.
+2.
Plus 2.
Okay.
Plus 2.
Plus 1.
Okay. Okay, good to know.
I'm guessing I'm rolling with disadvantage this time.
Yeah, so Constitution saving throws, Glory with disadvantage.
Only glory. Okay.
Only Glory, or are we all on disadvantage?
No, only Glory. The rest of you hit your nail and you don't get the extra shot.
Oh my god, I rolled a natural 1 again.
That dice needs to go to jail.
Oh god, I rolled terribly.
Okay,
Die
With
for the
this-
dice throne.
Guys, with disadvantage, I rolled 216.
Wow.
Wow. She's got a second wind, folks.
She
She
can hold it
has a
together.
second wind.
yeah, Glory.
Come on.
You know, sure you missed the nail, but you're an accustomed person to drinking and the party scene. Eclipse, what did you get?
A total of 8.
A total of 8. Yeah. The room's starting to move. It's moving a lot faster for Farewell, but it's starting to move. And Kate.
Alright, with the modifier it
9.
would have been 220s, but yeah.
Okay, so for Glory's starting to just enjoy that lovely kind of beer coat haze. Kate and Cora and Eclipse, the room is starting to sway, in a pleasant way. Farewell, you're pretty sure that someone is moving the room by some arcane means. Because you're fine, you're absolutely fine. But to paraphrase one of the guys from Guild, fucking wizards.
Some
Roll for
real
Arcana.
arcane bullshit going on here. Have we got any more of that vodka? I really, really, really want more of that vodka.
That's the point where the guy next to you goes, "What do you think the shots have been?"
I can't taste anything anymore.
Okay,
I
so
have actually been that drunk before.
yeah,
I won't lie. I have.
I
been that
believe
drunk.
you.
I would like everybody to do a nail check.
Yes.
Uh,
Ooh, that hits.
Wow. Yeah. You might need to stop my boy drinking.
25 for me, Simon.
Ooh, wow.
Wow.
Farewell
Ooh.
at risk.
Farewell got a 9.
Okay.
Farewell at risk.
Okay, Farewell. Farewell does manage to impact severely on the table. So not only has he missed the nail, he's missed the log. And
Probably put a great big fucking dent in the table as well.
There's a decent dent. Sorry, what was yours, Eclipse?
25.
25. Yeah, that nail. You got that nail. It's like, you're swaying back and forward and you just wait. It's like trying to do this game on a boat and you're like, wait for it. Bang. Cora.
15.
15. Oh, so close. You actually bend one of the nails.
Oh, that's a double shot. She bent the nail. She's got to do 2 shots for the bending. I mean, Farewell
But
will
I
be
hit the nail. At least I hit the nail.
you bent the nail. 2 shots. You bent the nail.
Fine. I love the drink.
Glory.
it's probably really close, but 11.
11. You also bend the nail.
2 shots. 2 shots. 2 shots. Oh god, yeah. See, kebabs incoming with garlic mayo and chili sauce.
Oh yes.
Everybody trying to get you're trying to get 9 people into a 4-person cab. It's alright, mate. It's alright. Don't worry about it. Just everyone get in. We'll be fine. Yeah, it's on the lap. I can get in the footway. It's all good. You just get in, mate.
Not first, so it's fine.
I want to ride the horse because cabs here are horse-drawn. I want to ride the horse. Okay.
Farewell's like, I just gotta wonder where we are and go back to find us, and we're just kind of going.
Okay. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, right. So Farewell. This is going to be an interesting check for you, and we may bear in mind this is a drinking game. This is not a gentleman's sport. This is a drinking game. You don't play to find out the winner. You don't play for honor. You don't play just for the love of the game. You play until somebody chunders, and I think we're pretty close. So,
Don't be my boy! Don't be my boy!
Where will it risk?
Red light!
So everybody do a Constitution saving throw. Everybody with disadvantage apart from Eclipse.
Yay!
Oh, thank you, fucking Jesus. 17 for farewell. I rolled 2 16s.
2 16s. You have failed, sir.
Oh,
Oh yes. Oh yes. I'll get to you in a minute. I'll get to you in a
Shit, I
minute.
got 16 as well. I got 16 as well.
I got a total of 13 for
Total
me.
of 13. Yep. Okay. So Eclipse goes up to that. Okay. And Glory.
I got a 19.
19. Absolutely. You find yourself.
I'm 19 with disadvantage. Wow.
Yeah. You find yourself very much enjoying this cherry vodka. It reminds you of a tipple from back home. So, okay, in order, we're going to go from we'll go backwards. So, Glory,
Yeah.
you are just necking this stuff down. This for you is, this is what you do. You're holding your own, and to tell you the truth, this is just a game to pass the time. The real game ends up later when the barmaid finishes her shift.
Yes.
So for you, you're ready to play the next round. Eclipse, as you fail to to harden yourself against this shot. Remember, you all have a bit of a drink. The shots are extra shots for a penalty. You start to feel the alcohol hitting your body, making it more difficult for you to see the nails. The nails are starting to dance around as they did previously for Farewell. Not as bad as Farewell had it, but certainly getting there. Cora, you watch as Farewell stumbles slightly. You laugh, and I don't know if I'm going to be drawing off experiences here and admitting to more than I should, but as you laugh, you suddenly put your hand in front of your mouth and go, "Whoop!" And you stop yourself from laugh puking, okay? Because you hit the DC on the nose with your 16. Farewell.
oh
Farewell.
no! Oh no!
Oh no.
My boy went as he lived. In shame.
So, I would like you, Farewell, to do me.
Everybody has to make a dexterity saving throw because it's like an AoE spell.
Let me just look at Burning Hands. It's roughly the same AoE. I'm torn between Dex and Charisma. I'm going to go with Charisma because.
Yeah, the one check that I've got a -2 in.
I was aware of this when I made the decision.
Your saving face.
So I would like to test your social graces, as etiquette covers a great many parts of society within Ostergald. It covers which cutlery to use, what colours to wear, how to address the many people of the different strata of society, how to follow the social contract, and how to address the various forms of legal remittance and resolution of conflict within the city. There's not a huge chapter on the book of etiquette to projectile vomiting in a crowd, but you're about to go for a crash course in said etiquette. Give me a straight. I'm not going to give you disadvantage. I've given you enough by choosing charisma here. As the world starts to spin, in the world's worst spin the bottle, you try to figure out what the best way is to do this. I would like you to do a charisma saving throw.
Well, at least it's a saving throw. I actually am proficient in charisma saving throws, so it's just a 0.
I think
So
that
it's a
was
straight
gonna help you.
roll.
I've
also just- I've just realised, because I just checked my sheet, I still have inspiration.
Okay.
And you know what? I'm going to preemptively spend it, just because I've been rolling like shit all night so far, and now is a good time to try and save my boy's ass.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest and upfront. The DC at which you failed was 20.
Simon, it doesn't matter. I rolled a 2 and a 3.
Fantastic use of inspiration.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Can Cora please just at this very moment, just before the bath, be like, get up on the table, like almost about to vomit herself, and be like, yeah, we're like heroes.
Please don't.
Yes.
I'll largely because I want to get you somewhat involved. Rodrigo, please do me a favor and roll me a D4 where 1 represents the players.
Our fate is in your hands.
I'm gonna make this as drawn out as possible.
Can't believe, of all the things you can roll on a D20, a 2 and a 3. I even use new dice.
2.
A 2. Okay. So in my head, 1 was the player characters, 2 was the dwarves. So you chunder over the dwarves, and well, I say dwarves. They're dwarves, half orcs, tieflings, and humans. I say they're dwarves because they're more dwarves than anything else. It seems to be like a workers' party. By the way, 3 was the bar and the sea elf that Glory was going to try to get acquainted with later on.
Oh, come on! I wish you would have landed on that.
Yeah, totally amazing.
No, I'm not, because I'm not the one that would then have to dodge the incoming acid.
Yeah.
And then 4 was going to be on Torm and the remainder of the pub. Well, I'd say the remainder of the pub, just innocent bystanders. So you vomit heartily on this worker group, who have also played nails next to you. As you do so, you cover. Let's see, 15. You cover about 5 people. Being how packed it is. The only reason you don't hit the others is that those 5 people get take the hit. You watch as the room swirls around and you collapse underneath the table. Farewell. You're still conscious. It's just everything's spinning. You can't stand up.
I'm okay.
Cora is cheering. And then possibly throws up herself. I don't know. She is.
No. I'm going to say you managed to double down, Cora. There's this moment of tension as these this vomit-soaked bunch of workers just turn around in a moment of shock and slight disbelief. They see this plucky halfling just stood on the table, kind of doing a "we are the champions" kind of pose, and they look at it, they see the funny side of it because they're playing a damn drinking game, and suddenly there's this "way" kind of thing as they're cheering on.
I'm gonna stumble outside and I'm gonna drunk call Aiden.
Oh God!
Yes.
Okay. We have to establish some ground rules. Friends
You can't talk. You can't.
friends don't let friends drunk booty call.
It's not a booty call. But...
Not necessarily booty calling.
Call. It's just like drunk call.
It's just, oh my God, you should so be here.
Yeah.
Alright, fine. Friends don't let friends drunk call the sober friend.
Well,
He's
we're
going to come
all
and give us
drunk
a
and we
lift.
have no idea it's happening.
I have a feeling this is going to be a bestest friend phone call. But yeah.
Yes, go for it. I want to hear this phone call.
I'm going to cut to Aiden and ask, what are you currently doing, dude?
So here's the thing. I head back to the tavern.
Mhm.
I head back to my room,
Yeah.
and I want to say I had quite a couple, maybe 1 or 2 bottles of wine stashed in my room.
Sure.
Right? Because I open one, and I start just fucking chugging.
Okay. I'm just going to, because it's just a flavor detail, it doesn't have a particular thing. Do me just a single Constitution saving throw.
Just to see if you're also drunk when you're being drunk called.
10.
10. Okay, so you drink to pass out, is what Aiden does. I think I'm
Yeah.
saying. So
Yeah.
you very much succeed in that goal. However, you pass out with your badge still on. That was what the result was. It wasn't to pass out. That was going to be a given because you were just going to keep doing it till you were done. It's just if you had a higher score, I would have said, yeah, you had the foresight to take off the badge. So you're there and you're kind of in a drunken haze when all of a sudden you just get this excited kitty voice coming through on your comm. By the way, I know it's 11. I'm going to wrap this up very quickly. So go on very quickly, Corinne. What is Eclipse saying into the brain of poor Aiden?
Hey, Aiden, you shouldn't be here. Farewell, he threw up on a bunch of dwarves, and it was the greatest thing ever. And we miss you lots, and you should drink his. I'm sick.
And then it
I've had that fucking phone call.
and then it cuts off. Kind of just at the end. It cuts off right at the end of the phone call before she finishes the last part of the sentence. Eclipse, you look down and you notice that you're not actually putting your fingers on the badge anymore. You've actually got your finger on what seems to be a piece of food that's stuck to your belt. It looks like that somebody's kind of walked past with, like, you're guessing maybe some equivalent of a burrito. And as they did so, some of it's kind of stuck to your clothing, and you realize you're kind of pressing the burrito, trying to get a signal. It's just not happening. I'd like to just point out that I put a system together very, very quickly there, whereby it started off at DC 10,
Fucking amazing.
and then every time you failed to hit the nail, you took a shot, which gave you disadvantage. And then if you failed the Constitution saving throw, your diff went up by 2. If you failed it with a 1, which is why Farewell's and Rocketed ahead, it actually went up by 4. So we had a system. So
nice to know.
My boy doesn't care got drunk.
Yep.
I think that works.
So if you guys give me permission, I'd like to cutscene the end. Okay.
Yes,
Sure.
please.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Can I just say that that I think Cora tries to wrap Farewell in the pink thing and drag him home?
So,
Yeah,
You're
fair.
the best friend.
Like, she probably doesn't manage it very much, and she probably needs help. But I think that's what she tries to do. She's like, "Don't worry, we fine. I just
Like,
Yeah.
Eclipse
I
will.
just take you."
Oh,
home."
it's okay, I can walk. I can walk. I can walk. And he's crawling.
So you get to pick which person, but Eclipse will probably just go into one of the other people's room and fall asleep on the end of their bed, like
Because of the
foot
cat?
at the feet. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because she can't go into
There's
her
none
room
of
right
us
now.
are sober enough
Okay.
to deal with the cat.
Okay. So okay, that's good because
She can come in mine.
okay, that's good. I'll tell you why that's good because if you hadn't mentioned that, the end of the cutscene was going to be you opening the door and just this as the cat came out and attacked you. Okay, so Cora, you wrap up Farewell in the pink fluffy blanket. You try to pull him through a crowd and all the rest of it, and realizing that you've gained some friends. Okay, we'll just call it the drinking party. Yeah, but you gain the names of a bunch of people in the Green Organization, and a half orc walks up to you, introduces herself as Luda. Yeah, so Luda. Grabs hold of the other foot of Farewell and helps you drag him through the streets. As drunk as you are,
We're dragging him by his feet.
you're dragging him by his
all,
feet.
all you can hear is him going, I can walk. I can walk.
I'm kind of imagining that you're like lying on the rug and like in a way, and we're just dragging the rug, and you're just on the rug.
Yeah.
Like, shuffling off.
Thankfully, the chain.
Yeah.
Thankfully, the chainmail that he's still wearing does reduce the friction of his body on the floor. So it's kind of skittering along. It's a little bit of kind of using logs to move large blocks kind of thing going on. Farewell not Farewell, sorry, Eclipse ambles out and is kind of drunkenly walking with you. Glory, are you staying here until the end of the night?
Yes.
Okay. Right, so...
Damn right she is.
Okay, so I've got all the permutations in my head and I've chosen the right one. So you guys get home, and the second you get to the Hawk and Harness, a very, very dirty Farewell is there like, you're the best. He has gone...
I love you guys so much.
Yeah, he has gone through a few horse apples on the way here. So he's not the cleanest he could be.
What a horse! Oh, horse apples. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Sorry. I did not understand.
I love that phrase. That's genuinely what they call them. So when you get there, he's smelling very slightly of fresh manure and all the rest of it. Noki, who kind of hears you coming down the street, to be fair, steps outside. He pulls a slender cigarette from his shirt and is smoking, not kind of coming up to help you, but watching as you come down the street, watching the show as it comes along. And he, as you turn up, he goes, good night, I assume?
I like to imagine that, like, as we're coming down the street, all you can hear from Farewell is going, she's big, she's tall, she can kick down a wall. Hey, Chris. Hey, Chris.
Brilliant. You watch as this slender, suave, very attractive bronze-skinned, cornrowed head, gold-eyed, Kalashtar, takes a final kind of drag on a cigarette, flicks it to one side, and despite the filth covered on by Farewell, he can't love you enough from what he's just seen, and he goes, scoops an arm under yours, and Luda takes the other arm, almost kind of going, oh yeah, that could have been useful, and lifts Farewell up. The thing is that Cora, because she only just got the 16, I'm going to say the rest of it's kicked in now. So as they're taking Farewell upstairs, one under each arm, because she wants to carry on helping, Cora still has a foot. So he's kind of hopping his way up the stairs.
Put me in the bath and put the water on, please.
They put you in and all the rest of it, and Noki goes, I don't know a great deal about Genasi. Will he drown? I'm not sure.
And you just watch as he slides, so that like his feet is sticking up out of the bath, but his head is completely under, and he's just asleep. He's just a big smile on his face, and he's asleep.
He's not gonna drown.
Okay. Well, I guess I shall quietly make breakfast in the morning and make sure there's enough coffee to restart the dead. Good night.
Good night.
Cora goes to her room. Farewell is sleeping underwater in the bath. And Eclipse disappears. This is where we pass along to Glory. So, Glory, the night finishes. You keep yourself. You've managed to get yourself on a good plateau, keeping yourself drunk enough to stay interesting, but not so much that you're going to be incapacitated. You realise that this tavern is not going to close tonight. However, there is somebody who comes in and relieves the sea elf. She grabs hold of what seems to be quite a nice coat. It's it's not a coat that would be worn by the richer class, but for the working class in this city, it's a good coat. Yeah. She kind of gives you a sidelong look as she goes to get it, and as she steps outside of the tavern, she's completely unsurprised to see you, presumably leaning against the wall, kind of, ready to talk to her.
Yes.
Again, it is 12 minutes past, so I'm going to cutscene this out. She introduces herself as Milis. Okay, so that's Milis. And as you walk, she's very matter of fact, whereas you've kind of pulled so far. I mean, you pulled the career-based woman before, where she was very much kind of like, hey, I'm not gaga over you, but I like your style, kind of thing, which was the one that you got from the soiree. And you had a bashful one before that. You also had Delta for a very short period of time, but you prefer not to speak about that. So Milis, as she's walking along, she does point out that she is, again, of the Green Organization, and one of the things that she's good at is influencing people by acting enamored, and she's a bard. She's a bard, and she's kind of a seduction agent for the Green Organization. She says this very matter-of-factly to point out that, frankly, she knows what you were doing, and that she kind of, as a point of pride, tells you that she wasn't suckered in. However, she's still down. You get back to the Hawk and Harness. You talk about various things, because you no longer feel like you need to impress her. She just likes what she sees, and she wants what she sees. You end up, and it's kind of nice. you kind of talk about regular things. You talk a little bit about Scoura coming here, what it's like to be in the Green Organization. She feeds back a load of stuff. It's almost a conversation of equals. One heavy flirt to another. And, because she plays a version of the game, there's this kind of respect and interest by the fact that you're playing a different game with her now, just kind of like a respect of, well, not equals, it's always equals, but similars, I would say. Yeah, that you find it, you have a lot in common. And you get to the Hawk and Harness, you walk straight past the bar, straight up the stairs, you get a little wave from Magda, who's one of the dwarven barmaids that works for Noki. She waves at you with a little bit of nudge, nudge, wink, wink. She's being a little too ostentatious of, oh, hello, not coming home alone, I see. And you're kind of like, yeah, whatever, neither of us cares. And you walk upstairs.
That's normal.
As you walk up to your room, wondering, wow, this girl, it's what she does. She must be really skilled. I wonder what I'm in store for. You open the door, and not sure who's about to pounce on who, when you see on your bed a sprawled out tabaxi. And
That was great.
and that's where we're going to leave it today.
Right.
It's a case of, well, instead of coitus interruptus, it's catus interruptus. And I think we'll leave it at that detail with a snoring, sprawled out, full starfish tabaxi on your silk sheets. Which, by the way, she's shedding fur on your silk sheets as well. So.
Yes, it's so furry right now.
No. That's not what I'm thinking. I'm thinking glory plus a seductress plus a taxi. Maybe we can get a freeway going.
Oh,
Well, you have to ask. You have to ask.
Yes. And we'll call that DLC. Thank you, everybody, for coming today. Thank you for everybody that's watching. I'll just have a quick look through for, there's lots of people we haven't seen before, but there's certainly people we have seen time and time again. Thanks very much. And I'm not going to go through the whole list, but nice to see Gannon again, Sikian, and everybody else who turned up as well. Thank you very much as well for, we mentioned Rattle before, but recently Rattlecat has joined us in our little Discord server, which we run the game from the server and talk about what else we can do in the game and things. And it's been lovely to have Rattle and Shine, who have been in the chat in the game as well, to join a little community here. Thank you very much to the players. It's been a great blast, and this was very much just a bit of a transition session. I have kind of given you a timer here, which it gives away that something is coming. I'm going to leave the timer for now. Next session, because I was giving you basically an hour to do some stuff, like you've got a cat and a few other different bits. So
so silly.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go and
He's great.
as a reminder to myself, I'm going to just make that timer disappear for a second, and it will be back. Okay, but for now, we've got some things that you guys can do, and I want to have fun doing those things before I throw something else right at you. Okay.
I am scared for what's going to happen next session.
What, you mean the mother of all hangovers that we're all going to have?
Excuse me? Glory is a lot more sober than the rest of you.
Yeah,
okay.
You're
the
gonna...
mother of all hangovers.
Yeah, I mean, Glory is like a, I've got cough in mouth, I need some water. the rest of you are going to need some TLC.
A bath of water.
All I'm going to say is hashtag stay hydrated.
Yeah.
Who ended the session in a bath of water?
I think you're gonna wake up in an empty bath, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're just gonna
Okay.
absorb it all.
Like a
I
sponge.
go guys for bed.
Yes, you should
That's
definitely go to bed.
Yeah,
It's quite
time,
late.
It's time for people to head to bed. But thank you very much, and thank you for the challenge of having to DM a drinking game on the fly. I
You're
will
welcome.
actually post the drinking game as well. I will post the drinking game on Twitter on how to set the diffs of nails. So there we go. So good night, everybody. We love you to bits, and we will see you next time.
Night.
Bye,
Take care.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.